Chapter 1. Song of the Vengeful Spirit, Beginning of the Tragedy. The hottest K-pop demon hunters these days, saga boys. But even for them, who save countless souls, there was a legendary, original, senior, who was the beginning of everything. We add the depth you never knew to the story you thought you knew. The story begins in a seemingly peaceful town. Here lived Governor Kimchi, a man who coveted the blood and sweat of his people. His official robes glittered with expensive gold thread, and a greedy jade ring was on his finger. But his heart was like a deep pit that could never be filled. In his eyes, the world was seen in only two ways: what he had, and what he would take next. Just then, the governor's greedy gaze fell upon a family. It was the family of Gwayang-gaksi, known as the most diligent and honest in the village. She had 3 sons dearer to her than her own eyes, and a husband more affectionate than anyone in the world. Although they were not wealthy, theirs was a happy home where laughter never ceased. The husband worked hard, and Gwayang-gaksi managed the household diligently. Their simple happiness became a disgusting object of jealousy for Governor Kimchi. "How dare you speak of happiness before me?" One night, the firmly shut gate of Gwayang-gaksi's house was burst open. Officials who stormed in at midnight abruptly tied up her husband. The charge was treason. It was an outrageous false accusation against a husband who had never once spoken ill of the king. Gwayang-gaksi desperately proclaimed her husband's innocence. But her voice scattered powerlessly before the blade, like authority. Her husband was dragged to the government office and died after harsh torture. And all the family's possessions were moved to the government warehouse. It was a sorrow as if the sky had fallen and the earth had collapsed. The 3 sons, who lost their father overnight, wasted away in shock and hunger, and one by one, they closed their eyes in their mother's arms. Now, nothing was left for Gwayang-gaksi. All that remained was the cold air of an empty house, and a deep resentment that seeped into her bones. Wearing tattered clothes, she staggered towards the government office. It was to appeal the injustice. It was her last remaining faith in humanity. "Your Excellency, please clear my husband's false charges. Please punish the real criminals who took our family's lives." She bowed her head on the cold wooden floor and pleaded with tears of blood. However, Governor Kimchi merely looked down on her coldly with his greasy face. There was not even a hint of sympathy in his eyes. Instead, he waved his hand as if annoyed. "Silence! The wife of a traitor has too much to say. Your misfortune is all your own doing. Get out of my sight!" At that moment, Gwayang-gaksi's heart froze. A sense of despair that the world had completely abandoned her engulfed her entire body. She no longer cried. Her tears had all dried up, and in their place, a blue flame began to burn. Gwayang-gaksi hung herself from the rafters of the government office. Her last breath was not a quiet whisper. It was a curse that tore the heavens and shook the earth. "This resentment of mine, I will never forget it, even in death. Governor Kimchi, I will surely cut the thread of your life." From that day on, strange things began to happen in the town. Every new magistrate who was appointed died a mysterious death on their first night. An eerie wind blew through the government office, even in broad daylight. And at night, a woman's mournful cry wandered the corridors. The deep-seated vengeful spirit of Gwayang-gaksi had completely taken over the government office. Terrified, people called it a cursed land and did not even go near it. This news also reached the ears of Governor Kimchi, the beginning of the greed. He trembled in fear like an aspen leaf at the terrible consequences of his sin. His greed had created a monster that could not sleep even in death. Chapter 2. The Impossible Command, the appearance of Ganglim. Gwayang-gaksi's curse spread throughout the country as a rumor. No one wanted to become the magistrate of the cursed government office. This was the most terrible news for Governor Kimchi, who had to protect himself from the monster his own sins had created. He could not sleep at night. When he closed his eyes, it felt as if Gwayang-gaksi's resentful eyes were glaring at him. Even when he covered his ears, her sad cry lingered in his ears. This can't go on. If I can't appease this vengeful spirit, I'll be next. Terrified, Governor Kimchi finally came up with a cunning plan. It was a very vicious way to shift his responsibility to someone else. The next day, he gathered all the officials and clerks of the government office to the main hall. His face was pale, but his voice was laced with forced dignity. Listen, everyone. Right now, our town has become the plaything of a mere vengeful spirit, and the king's law has fallen to the ground. Is this not truly a deplorable situation? The officials just kept silent, exchanging glances with each other. Governor Kimchi swallowed dryly and finally got to the point. The root of all these problems lies in the underworld. It is the responsibility of King Yeomra, who failed to properly manage the dead. It was truly a preposterous shifting of responsibility. He looked around the room and shouted sharply, "Therefore, someone here must go to the underworld. Go to the underworld and capture King Yeomra, who has neglected his duties." At that moment, a silence as if cold water had been thrown fell upon the main hall. A command for a living human to go to the underworld and capture the king of the underworld. It was no different from being told to go and die. Everyone bowed their heads. The old clerk cleared his throat, pretending not to hear, and the vigorous military officers deliberately avoided the governor's eyes. It was an impossible, meaningless, and foolish command that would only cost one's life. Governor Kimchi's face gradually began to contort with anger. Truly, is there not a single courageous person among you? It was just as his shout echoed emptily. A man who had been standing motionless quietly stepped forward. His name was Ganglim. He was a young official with firmly closed lips under his gat, and eyes that would not waver at anything. The tightly fastened belt over his blue official robe seemed to speak of his upright character. The hall held its breath. All eyes were on his mouth. Ganglim spoke in a dignified voice without bowing. "Your Excellency, I will accept that command." There was not a hint of hesitation or fear in his voice. Governor Kimchi's eyes widened in surprise. Relieved that this foolish volunteer had appeared, he asked hastily, "What is your name?" "My name is Ganglim." "Ganglim, you are truly a loyal subject of this town. Leave at once! You must capture King Yeomra!" Governor Kimchi had a relieved expression, as if a great burden had been lifted. The other officials looked at Ganglim as if he were foolish, or perhaps with pity. But Ganglim paid no heed to any of their gazes. To him, this was not simply an impossible command. It was about resolving the grudge of a vengeful spirit who died unjustly, and restoring the collapsed order of the world, an unavoidable duty as an official. He bowed his head silently and accepted the command. Then he silently turned and left the main hall. The whispers of many followed him from behind. but his steps did not falter in the slightest. The impossible journey was beginning with one man's firm sense of responsibility. Chapter 3. The Path to the Underworld, A Mother's Wisdom. The place Ganglim headed after leaving the government office was not his own home. He went straight to a small, old thatched roof house at the edge of the village. There, Ganglim's aged mother was waiting for her son. Although her eyes had grown dim, she was a woman of wisdom who saw through the ways of the world. Ganglim prostrated himself before his mother and told her the whole story: the impossible mission, the resentful spirit, and his own decision. After hearing the story, his mother did not scold or stop him. She just looked silently into her son's resolute eyes. She was a mother who knew her son's character better than anyone. After a moment, she quietly went into the kitchen and began to prepare something. It was the world's last preparation for her son, who was about to embark on the path to the underworld. First, his mother carefully steamed 9 white rice cakes. Then, she brought out a pouch made of red cloth and a skein of thin silk thread. Handing them to Ganglim, she spoke in a low but firm voice. "My son, the path you are taking will by no means be an easy one. At the gateway to the underworld, there will be fearsome gatekeepers standing guard. When you meet them, do not try to fight, but share these rice cakes with them, one by one. And, when you leave the world of the living, you must wear your official robe inside out. Only then will the ghosts of the underworld think of you as one of them and clear the way." His mother's wisdom was truly amazing. It was not the knowledge of the living, but a deep insight born of life's experience. Ganglim engraved his mother's words deep in his heart. He finished the last meal his mother prepared for him and gave a deep bow. "Mother, I will surely complete the mission and return. Please stay healthy until then." Ganglim set off on the path to the underworld, holding his mother's wisdom in his arms. With each step he took, the scenery of the world began to change. The green trees turned to ash, and the warm sunlight grew cold. The smell of living things disappeared from the air, and only a desolate wind lingered. This was the boundary between the world of the living and the underworld. As his mother had told him, Ganglim took off his official robe and wore it inside out. Then, strangely, the mysterious shadows that had been hovering around him no longer paid him any attention. After walking for some time, a giant iron gate blocked his path. And in front of it stood a jailer with the head of an ox and a jailer with the face of a horse. Their eyes glittered like red lanterns, and they held sharp iron clubs in their hands. "Stop! The living cannot pass through this gate?" A voice like thunder struck Ganglim's ears. But Ganglim was not flustered. He quietly took out a rice cake from his pouch and politely offered it to the 2 jailers. The jailers accepted the cake with suspicious eyes. But soon they began to eat the cake greedily. After finishing the cake, the jailers looked at each other with satisfied expressions. Then, without a word, they threw open the firmly shut iron gate. It was the moment he safely passed the first gate. Ganglim walked without rest, and at every turn, he met new gatekeepers. When he met ghosts exhausted from hunger, he shared his rice cakes. And when he met souls suffering from thirst, he gave them clear water. Ganglim did not fight with force. He opened the way only with the wisdom his mother had taught him, and a heart that respected others. After passing through numerous gates, a giant palace finally appeared before Ganglim's eyes. black roof tiles and red pillars, a place that overwhelmed its surroundings with its imposing presence alone. It was the palace of King Yeomra, the palace of the ruler of all things in the underworld. Ganglim took a moment to catch his breath. The real beginning was from now on. As a mere mortal, he had to meet the god of the underworld and negotiate. He straightened his clothes, and, without a hint of hesitation, walked towards the giant gate of the palace of King Yeomra. The sound of his small footsteps echoed clearly on the quiet ground of the underworld. History will remember this moment as the first step a mortal took to judge a god. The gate opened, and before him lay a sight beyond imagination. The king of the underworld, King Yeomra, was waiting for him. Chapter 4. A human scolds a god, the confrontation with King Yeomra. The interior of the palace of King Yeomra was endlessly vast and deep. On both sides were lined the judges of the underworld who judged the souls of sinners. And in the deepest part of the hall, on a high throne, sat the absolute ruler of the underworld. A crown with 12 strings of beaded tassels. A dark red dragon robe embroidered with the sun, moon, and stars. And deep eyes that seemed to see through everything. And a long, white beard. It was King Yeomra. His presence alone seemed to fill the giant palace. An ordinary human would have knelt before his dignity and been at a loss for words. But Ganglim was different. He walked proudly towards the throne with his back straight. His eyes were not filled with fear, but with firm resolve. When Ganglim stopped below the throne, King Yeomra's low and heavy voice echoed. "Are you the one named Ganglim from the world of the living? Why have you, a living being, dared to set foot in the heart of this underworld?" The voice had the power to make one's soul tremble, just by hearing it. Ganglim answered politely, but in an unwavering voice. "I am Ganglim, an official from the world of the living. I am here today for no other reason than to question your majesty's sins." At the words "question sins," the silence that filled the palace of King Yeomra became as sharp as a blade. It was the moment a mere mortal dared to discuss the sins of a god. King Yeomra's eyebrow twitched. "Sins? I have ruled the underworld without a single mistake." "What are you talking about?" Ganglim did not back down in the slightest and took out the tragic story of Gwayang-gaksi from his pocket. He clearly revealed the sins of the greedy magistrate and how a family was destroyed because of them. And he poured out the resentful cry of Gwayang-gaksi, who became a vengeful spirit and wandered the netherworld. A woman died so miserably and became a vengeful spirit. Why did the underworld not collect her soul and resolve her grudge? Is it not the duty of the underworld to look into the injustices of the dead and resolve their resentments? Neglecting one's duty, that is your first sin, your majesty. Ganglim's voice was a scolding. It was a stern cry that went beyond human laws to discuss the laws of heaven. All eyes in the palace of King Yeomra were on Ganglim. It was a situation that no one had expected. King Yeomra closed his eyes for a moment and listened to Ganglim's words. His face was not filled with anger, but with deep contemplation. After a moment, he opened his mouth again. "Indeed, you are right. The underworld is vast, and there are many souls to govern. So there was a vengeful spirit I failed to notice. This is clearly my oversight." King Yeomra readily admitted his fault. But that was not the end of it. He rose from his throne and, in turn, questioned Ganglim. "But Ganglim, do you know that you also have a sin?" When Gwayang-gaksi was dying unjustly, Where were you, an official of the living world? And what were you doing? Failing to prevent a powerless person from being trampled by power. That is your sin. At King Yeomra's rebuke, this time Ganglim fell silent. His words flew like daggers and lodged in Ganglim's heart. That's right. He was also a bystander. Ganglim quietly bowed his head. Your Majesty's words are correct. I am also a sinner. To atone for that sin, I took on this impossible mission and came this far. A strange silence flowed between the two beings who had acknowledged each other's sins. Then, for the first time, a faint smile appeared on King Yeomra's face. He was deeply impressed by Ganglim's courage and honesty. Good. I will praise your courage. I will personally collect the vengeful spirit of Gwayang-gaksi and resolve her grudge. But I cannot just let you go back. King Yeomra proposed a test. It was to finally confirm whether Ganglim was truly qualified to restore the order of the living world and the underworld. The test was the most difficult mission, one that no one in the underworld had ever succeeded in. Chapter 5 Catch Dongbang, Sack of the Sam, Cheongap, Ja. The test given by King Yeomra was truly bizarre. It was the mission to capture a living human. In the world of the living, there is a man who has defied his fate and lived for 180,000 years. His name is Dongbang Sak. Many Grim Reapers have tried to catch him, but they have been tricked by him every time. If you can catch Dongbang Sak and bring him before me, I will acknowledge your abilities and set everything right. Dongbang Sak of the Sam, Cheongap, J. He was a legendary being who laughed at the laws of the underworld and leisurely evaded death. A mission that even the Grim Reapers, the elite of the underworld, had failed. It was now entrusted to a mortal human who had just arrived in the underworld. It was truly a near impossible test. But there was no wavering on Ganglim's face. He bowed his head silently and accepted King Yeomra's command. Understood. I will surely catch him and bring him before your Majesty. Ganglim returned to the world of the living, but he had no way of knowing the face or whereabouts of Dongbang Sak, who had lived for 180,000 years. As Ganglim was lost in thought, his mother's face suddenly flashed through his mind. Yes, my mother would surely know the answer. Ganglim went back to his mother in the old thatched roof house, and he told her the whole story about Dongbang Sak. His mother listened silently to her son's words again. Then she went into the kitchen and came out with a piece of black charcoal. My son, do not worry. There is a way. Early tomorrow morning, go to the big stream where the most people pass by. And then start washing this charcoal in the clear stream water. Someone will surely come and ask you why you are doing such a foolish thing. That person is Dongbang Sak, so you must catch him immediately. The act of washing black charcoal in a stream. It was a strange wisdom that was incomprehensible by common sense. But Ganglim did not have a single doubt. He firmly believed in his mother's wisdom. The next day at dawn, Ganglim went to the stream as his mother had told him. And he put the black charcoal in the stream water and began to wash it silently. His strange behavior soon drew the attention of people. A passing farmer and a merchant with a backpack both clicked their tongues and laughed at him. Hey, young man! Do you think washing black charcoal will make it white? What a pitiful and foolish person! Many people laughed at him and passed by. But Ganglim just kept washing the charcoal silently. It was around the time half a day had passed. An old man with white hair stopped in front of him. The old man laughed out loud as if he found it absurd, and said to Ganglim, "Ha ha ha, I've lived for 3,000 cycles. But I've never seen such a foolish person as you. Who in the world tries to make black charcoal white by washing it?" It was at that very moment. Lived for 3,000 cycles. Ganglim's eyes glinted. He threw down the charcoal he was washing and lunged like the wind, grabbing the old man's arm. "You are Dongbang Sak!" The old man struggled in surprise, but Ganglim's hand was as strong as steel. He had no idea that his identity would be revealed by a single careless word. Even the great Dongbang Sak had never imagined it. He had tricked numerous grim reapers with his knowledge and cunning, but he had knelt before a wisdom of reverse thinking that seemed even more foolish than himself. Ganglim tied up Dongbang Sak and headed back to the palace of King Yeomra. Everything was a miracle brought about by his mother's wisdom. The power that turned the impossible into the possible was not in force, but in wisdom. Chapter 6. The First Grim Reaper, A New Beginning. When Ganglim reappeared in the palace of King Yeomra, dragging Dongbang Sak, all the beings of the underworld doubted their own eyes. The troublemaker, who had mocked the underworld for 180,000 years, being dragged away, captured by a mortal human, was truly a shocking sight. King Yeomra rose from his throne and looked at Ganglim with a disbelieving expression. He spoke in a voice mixed with satisfaction and admiration. "Amazing, Ganglim. Truly amazing wisdom and courage. You have done what no one in the underworld could do. I will no longer doubt your abilities." As promised, King Yeomra immediately sent the army of the underworld to collect the vengeful spirit of Gwayang-gaksi. Once the curse of the vengeful spirit was lifted, Governor Kimchi's sins were revealed to the world, and he was dismissed from his post and severely punished. It was the moment the order of the living world was restored. King Yeomra approached Ganglim with a pleased smile and made a groundbreaking proposal. "Ganglim, you are too talented to remain a mere human. After you finish your life in the world of the living, would you not work with me to restore the order of the underworld? I want you to be the first Chasa, envoy, or Grim Reaper of this underworld." It was the moment a god bowed his head to a human and asked him to be a companion. This was truly a great honor. It was a position that promised eternal life and power comparable to that of a god. Ganglim's heart wavered for a moment. But before his eyes, the image of his mother waiting for him alone in the old thatched roof house flickered. Ganglim respectfully bowed his head and answered King Yeomra's proposal. "Your Majesty's proposal is an unparalleled honor, but I cannot accept it right now." Everyone held their breath in surprise at his refusal. Ganglim calmly stated his reason. "In the world of the living, my elderly mother who gave birth to me and raised me is alone. As a son, it is my first duty to stay by my mother's side until her last moment. Only after I have sent my mother off in peace can I accept your Majesty's command." His voice was filled with a noble and firm filial piety that did not forget human duty, even in the face of a great mission. King Yeomra was momentarily speechless at Ganglim's answer. He was more deeply moved than before by Ganglim's appearance, who put human filial piety before the power of a god. He believed that it was the most important virtue to set the world right. King Yeomra nodded with a gentle smile. "I understand. Your deep filial piety is truly the qualification to rule the world. Go and serve your mother, and fulfill your duty as a human being." Your position will be kept vacant and waiting for you until the day you return." Ganglim gave a deep bow to King Yeomra and returned to the world of the living. For a long time after that, he served his mother with utmost filial piety. And finally, on the day his mother peacefully closed her eyes, Ganglim, as promised, opened the gate to the underworld himself and stood before King Yeomra. In his hand was not a lingering attachment to the world of the living, but a firm will for the mission to come. Pale skin and black eyes of unknowable depth. His appearance, wearing a pitch black gat and a black dopo, was no longer that of an ordinary human. Ganglim received a register with the names of the dead and a red cord from King Yeomra. Thus, at this moment, the first Grim Reaper in history, Ganglim Doryang, was born. This is the story of an ordinary human who was reborn as a great god. And it is the story of the greatest beginning of all the Grim Reapers who guide countless souls today. Perhaps true strength is not only the courage to face an impossible command, but also begins with a warm heart that seeks to protect what is most precious until the end. Perhaps in your heart, too, lies your own Ganglim who can set the world right. This was Story Refresh.